So I believe that we're pretty well done with the outside of our house. There are some additional things that we want to do in terms of finishing touches. So we'll want to change the stone on the front, change it to stone on the front of our house, perhaps add some corner boards and get into some more materials and landscaping. So we'll deal with that a little bit later in our presentation in the section where we're adding those finishing touches. So the next thing we're going to jump to is creating a kitchen design on the inside of our house. So let's go ahead and get into that now. Now, before we move on, it's probably worth noting that we've been dealing with manual dormers. So we created these dormers and put in the walls and created the roof that we were looking for. And we do have automated tools that will do this. So let's rotate our view around so we can look at the back side of the house, and perhaps we'll add a dormer down here on this side. So just to give you an example of what that looks like, we've got our roof tools here selected, and we'll go into our auto floating dormer, and we're just going to go down and perhaps we'll just add a dormer right in this area. Now the dormer that gets put down, it's using our default window, so we can quickly click on that window and remove our shutters. Click OK. And the automatic dormer that we put in here, we have lots of controls over this dormer and the way that it's created. So if we click on the dormer itself and open it up for specification, we have many options for the type of dormer that we're using: a gable, a shed dormer, gambrel, mansard, barrel, curved eave, hip curved eave, eyebrow. I'll just go ahead and click on an eyebrow dormer so you can get an idea of what it looks like. So there's lots of options that we can get into in terms of the dormer. I'll just go ahead and click OK. And here we have an eyebrow dormer that's been put in for us. So really a great tool to very quickly make changes. Looks like we'd have to bring that window down a little bit, make some adjustments, but you get an idea of how you can very quickly use our automatic dormer tools to create those dormers instead of doing them from scratch. Okay, so I'll go ahead and click on that and we'll delete the dormer. We don't necessarily need that. And we'll rotate back around. And as I mentioned, we're going to get into creating our kitchen design. So let's get into that next. Now we're going to close this 3D view that we have. And I'm going to go down a level to our first floor. And we'd like to develop a kitchen in this area here on our first floor. So I'm going to zoom in on our floor plan so we can see this a little bit better. And I'm going to go to our camera options and pull up a full camera. And we're just going to take an interior view of the space that we're dealing with. I'll just move this window up. Okay. So let's activate our cabinet tool. And we're going to go down, and you'll notice that I get a preview before I place a cabinet of a 24-inch base cabinet. That's my default, and I already have default set in terms of the colors of my cabinets, the wood species, and so on and so forth. And it's worth noting that I'm working with just our generic cabinet tools. So for creating custom cabinets or cabinets of a particular manufacturer, you can use our generic tools to create both of those scenarios. The tools are extremely flexible in terms of the types of cabinets that you can create, and there are many different options to go with, but you also have the ability to go with many different cabinet catalogs, so name brand cabinet catalogs that are in our catalog of library objects so that you can design out of a given manufacturer. So when I'm doing a kitchen design, I typically like to get my corner cabinets in place. So if I pull this tool over and I bring it close to the corner, it recognizes that corner and it changes the cabinet over to a corner cabinet. So I'm just going to click down our two corners to get them in place. And then I'm just going to drop here in our wall another cabinet that I'm going to configure a little bit differently. I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to change its width to 42. And we're going to go and change our drawer on the front here from a regular drawer to a false drawer for a sink base. And we'll go ahead and click OK. So you'll notice in our 3D view that that's been updated. Now I can go into our center tool. Those work for our cabinets as well. And we can go in and center that cabinet right on this wall. So we're sure that we're going to get that in place exactly where it should be. And then now I'm going to design the rest of my cabinets around what I've now placed, because it's basically allowing me to take into account my interior dimension here from sheetrock to sheetrock. So let's add in another cabinet right here. And we'll go ahead and change that down. And we'll add in another cabinet right here for 24-inch. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and when we click on this, see that we get a 3-inch space here between the two. And the reason I left this here is I just want to highlight a tool. The software will automatically create a filler. So if you look in our 3D view, you see that the countertop is not interrupted and we have a filler that's been put in place. So there's automatic fillers that are created if you're within 3 inches of a cabinet, and you can override that if you like. If you like to take control over that a little bit more, we can go up to our build dialog, and under cabinet fillers, we can choose a base or wall or full height filler. And here we have our base filler. We can pull it right in and it will fill in that space, and it gives it a label, and it also shows up in our materials list. Okay. So I just wanted to show you how that worked. I'll go ahead and delete that. And what we're going to do is we'll move this cabinet over and we can stretch that out. And looks like it won't be quite a standard. Yep, that'll work just fine. So we'll do the same on the other side. Let's get our cabinet tool, and we'll drop a 24 here and then a 21-inch cabinet. And it just so happens that our wall spacing is allowing for full standard size cabinets. Now I want to add another cabinet on this side. We'll just bump that right up and snap it to our other cabinet, and we're going to resize that, grabbing that edit handle. So we can do it here in our plan view, or we can do it in our cabinet dialog. I'm going to drop down another cabinet here, and this one I'm going to click on, and I'd like to dimension that, and let's call it 36 1/4. And we'll have a range in that area, so we can dimension that exactly what we're looking for. Alright, and we need to add in another cabinet on this side. Perhaps we'll have another small cabinet for baking pans on that side. And then we'll add in, over here we'll have a refrigerator. Be handy to have a pantry, so we'll click our full height cabinet, drop that down, and we'll pull that out to, say, 30-inch. And I'd like to move that over so we have space for our refrigerator. So at this point, I think I'm ready to start to add some things out of our catalog. So let's go ahead and open that up. So this little icon, like a stack of books, will open up our library browser. And I'm going to pull that over and adjust it so that it doesn't quite take up so much space. Okay. I'll zoom a little bit here so we can see our plan. So we have our various cabinet catalogs here. And we have the Chief Architect Core catalogs. We have our bonus catalogs for generic content. And Then we have manufacturer-specific catalogs as well. I'll just expand that. And you can see we have everything from tiles and cabinet catalogs, countertop surfaces, flooring materials, siding. There's all kinds of content in here that you can use that are actually the manufacturer specifications, colors and textures and so on. Okay. So I'm going to open up my user catalog, and I've created a folder of favorites. And under here I have my kitchen folder, so I've organized it so I can quickly access things that I want for this particular kitchen design. That way I don't have to go through our catalog. There's over 75,000 items in the catalog. You can do quick searches up here, but if there's items that you use on a regular basis, it's handy to add some folders and organize those under our user option. So let's go ahead and click on this Chef Series dishwasher. And with that selected, I can simply click right in our plan wherever we'd like that dishwasher to go. And I can do that in a 3D view or in a 2D view. So I'll go ahead and click on this cabinet. So it's inserted a dishwasher there, and we see it show up in our three-dimensional view. And the next thing we're going to pull out is this range. So this is a grouping that I've created for this plan, and I'm going to drop that range into our plan. And when we have it put down, we can grab this little triangle and rotate that exactly how we'd like it. And then we can grab it and put that right into place. And that will just snap right in. Okay. Now I'd like to get our refrigerator. So we have a double door refrigerator. I'll click on that. And we'll drop that into our plan as well. And with that selected, I'm just going to bring it in and snap that right into place as well. There we go. And we can adjust our full height cabinet right over. Okay, so next thing we want to do is, now that we have our base cabinet configuration put in, we might want to figure out how our windows are going to fit into the design. You can also do this the other way around. If you already have a window placement existing, we could have had that window put and dimensioned in exactly how it exists in an as-built, and then create the kitchen around that. But in this case, we're going to get our kitchen design, and we're going to center our windows around our sink and sink base. So I'm going to go up to our window tool and select that. And I'll come down in our 3D view and drop that window in. In fact, I think I'll drop 3 of those in here. I'll group select them together, center it, and we'll center it right on that sink base so I know that our window configuration is going to be set right where we need it to be. Okay. Now we're ready to get our upper cabinets put into place. I'm just going to adjust our 3D view a little bit so we can see this better. Alright, and in our cabinet tool we have our wall cabinets. And we're going to come down here and get into the corner again and drop a wall cabinet there. We'll add another wall cabinet here and a wall cabinet on that side. So we're just going to go around and add some wall cabinets into place. Need one over our refrigerator. And I'm going to copy and paste one in place. Drag that right over here. And we'll just snap these into place. Now the upper cabinet that's over our fridge, that's probably going to be a 24-inch. So I'll just pull that out and snap that. And by the way, our cabinet labels are typical nomenclature for cabinets. So you'll notice that we have a full corner wall cabinet 24-36. So the dimensions are located. So when I snap that upper cabinet, I know that I've got my 24-inch by just briefly looking at the nomenclature. I'll just show you how that would be. That's 18 So you can notice how that's snapping in increments. Okay. So we have our wall cabinets all put into place and our base cabinets. And you'll notice that our wall cabinets do not have any crown molding on them at the moment. So it might be a nice touch to add some crown onto these cabinets. And that's very easy to do, and there are tools in here to help select particular things that you're looking to select. So in a case there, I have a whole bunch of cabinets here, and I really just want to get my upper cabinets for adding crown molding. I can activate my cabinet tool, and for our wall cabinets, and hold the shift key down, and I can drag a marquee around all my cabinets and release the mouse, and it's only going to select my upper cabinets when I do that. So now that I've got them group selected, I can go down and open them for specification, and we'll go into our moldings tab and add a new molding. And again, we have our generic content of molding, and we can go into specific manufacturers of cabinetry or molding manufacturers. So I'll go into our crown, and we'll just select this crown molding here. And I'm going to change its height a bit. Let's make it 3-inch high. And then we're going to offset that at a -3. That way it sits right on top of our cabinet, and we get a preview of that in our 2D view right here in our window. And we'll click OK. And now we have that crown molding that's been added. We'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that. Okay. Now before I move on and finish up some of the materials and textures that are in this plan, we're going to kind of add some finishing touches into our kitchen. I'm just going to drop down a cabinet into our plan, and I just want to highlight some of the things that we can do with our cabinet tools. I mentioned that you can design out of the manufacturers, and then that we're currently using our generic cabinet tools. So in a 3D view, we can grab our cabinets, and you'll notice they snap in 3-inch increments. So we can grab these edit handles and change the height and width of the cabinet in a 3D view, as well as its position in the plan. So I'm going to double click on this and bring up its specification. And in this view, we have lots of options for configuring the cabinet. We can, of course, change its width, height, dimensions of the actual cabinet itself. There's some different types of cabinets that are available: right end, left end, radius, end cabinets, peninsula radius, angled front, bow front. So lots of options in terms of that. We can control our countertop, the thickness and the overhang of the countertop that's automatically created. We can also do custom countertops. If there's a corner treatment, the backsplash, the height of the backsplash, thickness, toe kick. We can configure our cabinets, adding face items. So we can add drawers or doors and get the various options there. And we can put finished panels on our sides or the back of the cabinet as well. We've seen our moldings, how we can add moldings, not just crown, but also various face moldings and things like that. And then there's accessories for pilasters and feet to a cabinet as well. So we're going to have a demonstration. We do have a kitchen specific demonstration that you can attend, and we get into a bit more detail in this building project that we're doing now. We're not going to get into a lot of detail in terms of the kitchen and cabinet design options. So I'll go ahead and close that, and we'll delete that cabinet. Okay, now I would like to start to deal with our backsplash. And we notice that we already have a backsplash that was put in as a part of this grouping of our range and our hood. So if we want to add, we have a kind of a 4-inch backsplash that runs around our entire kitchen at the moment, and it matches the color of our countertops. But I'd like to extend that up and have that meet our cabinets here. So let's go ahead and get that accomplished. And we can do a similar thing that we did for our upper cabinets, but we're going to do that for our lower cabinets or our base cabinets. So I'm going to activate that tool, hold the Shift key down, and do a marquee around that. And that's going to pick up all of our base cabinets. I'm going to open it up. And we are going to go to our backsplash and change the height of that to 18 inches. And when I do that, I see a preview up here of that, and I'll click OK. So that has gone and changed our backsplash height to where we'd like it to be. And now if we want to match our backsplash, I've showed you that eyedropper tool. We just click on the eyedropper, and perhaps I'd like this glass tile that is already in our plan, and we're just going to click it and add it to the various areas of our backsplash. Okay. Okay, so we've got our backsplash in. The next thing I'd like to put down is a kitchen island. I've grouped together a kitchen island that I put together from scratch. And you basically just use our cabinet tools much like we've done here, and you snap them together to configure an island. We don't have time to get into developing a kitchen island. We do have other training specifically on kitchen and bath design that we'll get into that. So in my kitchen catalog here, I have a kitchen island that we'll just click on and get a preview of that. So I'm just going to click that down into our plan view. So I'll click on it and drop it down here. And we'll rotate that around so that it's oriented properly. And we'll also like to dimension this island. So I'm going to dimension that in, let's call it 4 foot off of our cabinet front there. And then I'd center it in this room, so I'll use our center tool to center it in the middle of our room. Okay, so what this is here is it's what we call an architectural block. So there are several different cabinets that have gone in and parts that have gone in to create this kitchen island. Just rotate around so you can see that a bit better. So we have the different shelves and the cabinet parts that went into this. And then, of course, we have the stools, chairs, our place setting, the lighting fixtures. And so what I've done is I've created this island, and I've done a group select and just highlighted the entire island and blocked it together and added it to the library. So if you've spent time putting together something like a kitchen island or furniture or an entire kitchen itself, you can group really anything in the program together and add it to the library so that you can put it back into other plans and save you a lot of time. And if you want to make changes to the island, you can do that by ungrouping it. So with this island selected here, I can go down and explode that architectural block. And now the individual components of this become editable and selectable. So I'll just pull that out so you can get an idea. I'll click undo to put it back. Okay. So we can change the color configuration slightly and move things around on our kitchen island. Now, kind of like this distressed paint color that we have on our island. So why don't we add that into the rest of our design? So we'll activate our 3D and we'll get into our eyedropper tool. We'll pull up this pink color. And we have a couple of ways that we can apply a material. So at the bottom here we have a component, an object, a room, a floor, and a plan mode. And what that allows us to do is to apply a material to a component like just this little drawer, or to an object. If I click on this object, it does the entire cabinet, or to everything in this entire room. So if I click on this cabinet, it's going to change all the cabinets in this room. And if I go into floor, it does all of them on the floor and all of them on the plan. So we have a lot of control on how we can add a given color material in a plan to make it quick and efficient. Okay. Alright, so I'd probably like to add in some more colors and get kind of the final touches put into place. So let's go into our catalog here, and I'd like to change our countertop so we get a little bit more contrast. So we'll add this charcoal granite countertop, and in our room mode I can just click on any of our counters and it's going to change all those for us. Alright, let's rotate our view a little bit more here so we can see. I notice I haven't put in our sink yet, so let's go ahead and add a sink in real quick. We have a nice 32-inch offset, so we'll just click that right into our sink base. And you can simply click really anywhere in this general cabinet, and it automatically will center that sink in the cabinet. Of course, if you want to adjust it, you can click on it and adjust its position if you'd like to. Okay, and let's find our wall color I'd like to do. So I should have a gray-green here. We'll just click that on our wall. We'll go into our component mode because that will change the walls in the entire room. Alright, so I think I'm getting to the end of our kitchen design. So there's two things I'd like to do. Number one, we want to add some electrical. We do have a couple of fixtures already in place here, but I'd like to add some recessed lighting in so we can kind of cover how you'd create electrical in our kitchen plan. So let's activate our 2D plan view and go up to our electrical tools, and we're going to select our light, and the software will detect if you're on the exterior of a house, of an exterior wall, it's going to put an exterior wall sconce in place. If you're on the interior of a wall, it's going to put an interior wall sconce. And these are defaults that you can set to whatever your preference is. If you're in a ceiling plane, it's going to give you a default recessed can light. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go ahead and not be too specific about where this is, but we can use the tools of the program to help pull out extension lines and place it. If we'd like to get that in the center, we can do so. But I'm just going to click and drag that out, add another one over here. And with those selected or added down, I can multiple select them. And perhaps we'll make a copy. And we'll set the interval to, I don't know, let's make it every 3 feet. Click OK. And that'll make copies of that every 3 feet. And once we have those put into place, of course, we can delete any that we don't want. We probably don't need those either. So you can quickly get your lighting set up. So once you have your lights put into place, adding your switches is easy to do. So let's go ahead and show how that would work. Under our electrical tools, we have a switch, and we can add that switch over here on our wall. And once a switch is placed, let's say that perhaps we'd have another switch over here. That way we can create a three-way. So once we have our two switches, we can go back to our electrical tools to connect the electrical, and we can just rope these together. So very quickly it just snaps right to each of those fixtures. Connect that to our switch. Okay. Now these electrical connections that we've put into place, we can grab those and change their location and get your electrical plan dialed in. You'll notice that when we added this and connected our switches, we did get a three-way switch, so the program is smart enough to detect the two locations, and that will reflect in your plan as well as in your materials list. Okay. Now I'm going to bring over just real quick so you can see an example of an electrical plan. We don't have time to get into a lot of detail on this. This is just an example of an electrical plan that was done in Chief Architect. So you have your legend here and all your switches, your circuits, low voltage, all that can be included, and it's automated. All right, so we've gotten into our kitchen design. I'm going to expand this so we can just see it a little bit better. So it didn't take us too long to create a pretty attractive kitchen here. And I'm just going to do a couple of examples of some kitchens. The render view that you see that we've done so far, that's the lowest quality render view that's available in the software. There's 3 different levels that are available. The fastest and quickest is what you've seen so far, and it's actually a pretty impressive render view that you've seen so far. Then from there you can go to a final view with shadow, and then we have a ray trace view, and that's what you're seeing on your screen right now. Our ray trace will look at complex lighting situations, and it will calculate how light will reflect off of surfaces, whether they're shiny or matte finish, and how shadows are cast and softening of shadows. So in this particular render, you'll see that there's some highlights on the shiny metal chairs. We have a reflection off of our shiny granite countertops, and some soft shadowing from the chairs here, and the shadow as it casts on our cabinets. So this really becomes what's hard to tell between a photorealistic render view and the real thing. This, of course, is an actual render out of the software that you're looking at. So I'm just going to thumb through a couple of examples of higher-end kitchens that have been done in Chief Architect, and everything you see here is straight out of the software. These images aren't enhanced in any way. And we also have an example of some bath design as well. Okay. So let's close down this view, and here's our kitchen. I think we're pretty well done with creating our kitchen design. I'm going to close this camera view. I'll zoom out a little bit.